Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors. Today, we've got Kyle West to talk about how he got into the music industry. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Steve Trang, sales trainer, and I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. If you get value today, please tag a friend below or share this episode right now. That way we can all grow together, and we'll just hop right into it.
Sounds good.
All right. So
hey,
first,
Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
Doing good. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate that.
I'm honored for the invitation. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So the first question is real simple: is what got you into the music industry?
Wow. It wasn't on purpose. I'll just say that. I've always had a musical background, and at the time, I was around 20 years old, and my first cousin was connected to Heavy D The Boyz. They were a rap group from Mount Vernon, New York, and
Heavy D. I mean,
Heavy D, absolutely.
They were a big deal.
And they had success. And my cousin, who was Albie Shore, he kind of was in their circle, and he wanted to be involved. And I was a college student. I was going to school down in Louisiana, LSU. And he said, "We can do this." I'm like, "Well, I'm in school,
What were you in school for?
Accounting.
Okay.
Accounting. And
so you were having way more fun doing that than hanging out with Heavy D.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, look, I love this. I love being away from home and everything. But we got hooked in. I had this musical talent, and my cousin has a musical talent that just came out when we made the demos. And then we met Andre Harrell, which was the manager for Heavy D The Boyz. And he said, "You guys have something here." I'm like, "Well, now how do I tell my family I'm not going back to school?"
Right.
And no, we were hooked in, and everyone said we knew what we were doing, and they threw us in the studio. Andre got us a deal at Warner Brothers, dealing with Benny Medina signed us, and we had a record deal.
So it couldn't have been that simple. You couldn't have just walked in and just got a record deal.
No, Steve, the demos, I mean, looking back now, the demo spoke for itself. We had talent. We didn't know how much talent we had.
Yeah.
But we were put into the studio with other producers, Eddie F. of Heavy D The Boyz and Teddy Riley. And they were just kind of got us going in the right direction and really made the most out of the demos.
Yeah.
Andre Harrell took those, went to Warner Brothers, and Warner says, "Hey, this is special here." Yeah. We're just kids in the studio. We don't know.
But this wasn't like the struggle, and you were like passing out mixtapes, mailing them.
Steve, we didn't. By the grace of God, we didn't have to do that.
All right.
So everything happened pretty quickly. To be honest, 9 months, we were on the charts.
So what were you responsible for? And what was Albie Shore responsible for?
I'm the music guy.
Okay.
So, got my musical background from my dad and everything. And I would create the music at home. We had a little, very archaic little music studio, and we had a little 4-track. And my cousin Albie Shore would teach himself. First, he was a rapper. Then he started to. I said, "You gotta have to learn how to write and sing songs."
Yeah.
I don't even gonna do a rap. And we made these demos. I still have them to this day. And they didn't have any polish at all. But I guess they could see we got some. Let's get these guys with the right guys. And so I did the music. Albie Shore did the vocals, and that was it.
Man, this is our very first episode of Disruptors. So we don't actually have a theme song yet. So maybe, we can work something together.
Absolutely. You just let me know what you need. Absolutely.
And so, I didn't do a good job of introducing. So you won multiple Grammys.
No. I've won one Grammy.
Only one Grammy.
One Grammy.
All right. What did you win that for?
I won it for a gospel record from the Reverend Al Green. He did an album out in '89, and he had Albie Shore and myself produce the record As Long As We're Together. And this was way out of our genre at the time. But this is the Reverend Al Green. This is a legendary artist.
Yeah.
Went straight to the top of the charts, the gospel charts, and he won a Grammy. So the producers won the Grammy also.
Right.
So it's like, it's amazing.
But so you just right out of the gate get a record, win a Grammy. What do you do next after that?
Steve, we had great management, great personal management to keep us direct because we were still young. We were still kids.
Yeah.
20, 21 years old. And you have to start to build your company. You have to now build your brand. That wasn't around a lot in the early 90s. So we're making records, thankfully they're going to the top of the charts. But we didn't set up the way we should have to now what these producers are doing. You have clothing lines and this and that wasn't available to us back then. Yeah. So really we just kept grinding out records.
So, and it's an interesting point. You're saying like right now, you got P. Diddy and all these other. I don't know what he goes by these days anymore, but he's got his own different products. So you got 50's getting the vitamin water. So Dre's got Beats, whatever. Right. So you were really singularly focused on music, and you didn't have anyone in your ear to say, "Hey, you should branch out and add some other."
No.
Some other businesses.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay, so then, again, going back, right? You fly out of the gate. What was your journey like after that?
Well, you never know when the end, not even the end, just when the fade is going to start to come.
Because you saw even like, MC Hammer, right? He went straight to the top and then not.
You never see it coming.
Yeah.
So, luckily for me, I was still able to be in the industry. I've still had my same publishing deal for like 30 years with Sony. So they were able to help me, direct me, but music changed. So what I was doing in the early 90s, late 80s, by the mid 90s, they didn't want to hear that. So you're going to have to adapt, change your sound, work with other producers and writers and creative people to now be current. It took a minute. It took a good 5 years, So
what you were really good at was hot at that time, and then you had to adjust as what was hot changed.
Sure, yes.
So what was that like? How do you adjust to changing taste?
You have to be aware of the pulse. And again, just being on the fringes of the industry, not being at the top, but still being connected. You know what's going on. This is what you're going to, this is what you're going to have to start to do. And then everyone will say, well, no, you're Kyle West. This is what you got to continue doing. I said, yeah, but it's not working.
Yeah, it's not selling.
It's not. Therefore, there were a number of producers that I love them to death, said, why don't you mess what you do with what I do? And I had to start working with other producers. And that, kept some things going, but not the top of the charts.
Yeah.
And then it was when Eddie F., who I went to high school with, he had his Untouchables label, which was through LaFace. And he said, no, I want you to do what you do. So he put me with Donell Jones, and who had his first album, did pretty well, but didn't blow out of the water like what was about to happen. And I just did something a little different. That was more me. And it worked exactly well with the artist, Donell Jones, and went back to the charts by the grace of God.
Oh, you did? So
yes,
another one.
It did, yes.
So for someone who's listening that's not familiar with the music industry, can you explain what producing means?
Very good question. As a producer, you take talent. There's natural talent all over the place. Working at McDonald's, anywhere you want.
American Idol.
Everywhere, yes.
Yeah.
But guess what? As talented, as gifted as those people are, you now have to figure out how to get the best out of what they offer. Most producers will say, okay, well, you're going to do what I do. I'm going to tell you what to do. You just sing what you sing. I'll create around it. But what a producer's supposed to do is really figure out where the strengths are and what this artist or this singer, rapper, what they really deliver best. Then, if you got to get the musicians or whoever you need to bring in to get that, that's what the producer's job is. That could range from doing nothing, just keep doing what you're doing, guy. Or it could take someone to say, okay, we got to get in musicians. We have to do this. We have to send you here. That's all the producer's job.
I remember listening to an interview a long time ago with Snoop Doggy Dogg. And he talked about how he would just, because he was naturally talented, and he would walk into the studio with Dr. Dre, and Dre would basically say, no, you're doing it wrong. Right? And he was like, you have to do this. You have to pick up your pitch just a little bit on these spots. And it's like, for me, it's interesting, right? A rapper has to. That
is, yeah. For a rapper, that's interesting. Yes.
Yeah. But obviously, Dre knew what he was doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, that's, excuse me for cutting in, Steve. With rap, even with vocals, you can feel, a producer can feel if the record's working or not. They don't have to know anything technically, but when they hear the record, they go, I just don't feel it. It's not going to make me jump up. It's not going to make me run to the phone and call this A&R guy. This isn't what you delivered before.
Yeah.
And the artist could stand there and fight and deny it, and then when you just do it for me. And then it'll be just it could be a mood, it could be the setting, and something different will come out, and they go, you were right, producer.
Yeah.
So that's the producer's job.
There was another one, interview I saw very recently. Right? I mean, DMX just passed, and I was watching some interviews, and the guy said, there, you know, I can't remember which track it is, but you think this is a game, and DMX is basically screaming at the mic, and he basically said, like, that's the one that we hear is the produced version or the exaggerated version, but there was a version before that didn't make it to the album, where that same track, he's like, I don't feel it, right? And so, like, you think this is a game was actually not part of the original lyrics. And it was him screaming. That was directed at the guy that said, you don't have enough energy on this track.
Wow. Let me tell you, producers use certain tactics to get the best out of that artist. Yeah. And that, again, that's what the artist pays us for. That's what the label pays us for. Pull it out however you have to do it. I remember one time I was working with R&B artist Pebbles. And this was in the mid-90s. She was married to L.A. Reid, who was half of L.A. and Babyface and LaFace. And he was the most respectful man ever, because no one was bigger than him at that time. And here I am in his house working with his wife. And Pebbles herself is a personality. So, you don't want to tell her what to do. But he would come in the studio, tell her to do that again. I said, no, you tell her. No, you're the producer. Tell her to do it again. And she could do it better. And whatever I would say, Pebbles, Perry, can you do that over? And she knew her husband was right and delivered the vocal that she was supposed to deliver. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of ways, but that's the producer's job.
You got to massage the talent.
Absolutely.
So you probably didn't work with any divas.
Ooh,
we don't have to name any names. Don't have to name any names.
Oh, let me tell you, without naming any names.
Yeah.
One of the nicest, gracious artists I've ever. It was only 2 sessions, and we needed Miss Ross to come in. And what do you boys need? I was producing a record with Albie Shore. Tell me what you need. Blah, blah, blah. Give me all your tracks. Oh, you need any more? You need that? Unbelievably gracious, easy to work with person I've ever met was Miss Diana Ross.
What about the other side of the divas, right? I mean, you ever have people that have really big personalities that think they know everything. They already got it figured out. They don't need your help.
No. I you know what? 30 years of doing this, no. But I'll tell you this, Steve. There have been some artists that they knew what they were doing. And they figured out a nice way to say, Mr. Producer, I got this. You nicely. I worked with Angie Stone. And Angie's the most beautiful personality in the world. And I decided to show up. I was a little late to the studio. And I'm on my way, Angie. She said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, baby. I got it. Oh, you need me to sample this in it? No, I sang them all down. She finished the record before I even got there. So it was like...
She knew what she was doing.
Boom. You have artists like that. Now, that's where the personalities come in. And they could either as you said, they can approach it a different way to go, all right, you sit down, don't say anything, I know what I'm doing. Or they can do it the way Angie did it. Where it's like, oh, no, I got it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I've been luckily enough to work with some artists that are very gracious and nice people. So
I was looking at your discography, right? And you worked with some crazy famous people here. We got Casey and JoJo, LL Cool J, 112 Ashanti, Johnny Gill, Ralph Tresvant, Mariah Carey, Chris Brown. What was it like? I mean, in that experience, what was that journey like?
Well, some of those artists, I lived, ate, slept in the studio with them, and other artists were just, they decided to borrow a song. Like Mariah Carey, she decided to just interpolate one of the Donell Jones record, which is Where I Want to Be. She just took that and said, okay, I'm going to do a different version to it. Jermaine Dupri was the producer. So myself and Donell, we didn't really have to even be there with them.
Got it.
Casey and JoJo are like family. They're from Jodeci. And when they came up to New York from North Carolina, they were just hungry. They were doing their Jodeci stuff, but they wanted to, hey, whatever you need, I'm here. I would take Casey Haley out to LA to do work with me. Incredible, talented guy. You always you learn from those kind of artists. And he never had a record out yet at that time. So those experiences you keep for life. I worked with Tevin Campbell, another gifted 14-year-old child.
Oh, really?
Child. He had like 6 or 7 top 10 records. Casey Haley and JoJo, they did the backgrounds for us, for myself and I'll Be Sure. We produced the records. Those guys are like family because those experiences you'll never get again. But other artists, Ashanti, Chris Brown, I was never in the studio with them.
Got it.
So it's kind of like a publishing, writing thing. They said, hey, we want to use that record. Is it okay? And they did their thing.
So if someone wanted to get into producing right now, like what is it like now versus when you started?
Steve, it's almost like two different worlds. But guess what? It always comes down to talent. And you have to believe in yourself. You have some talented people out here that don't believe in themselves, so they'll never step into a studio. You have some other people who they have no idea what they are, but this is what everyone else is doing. So people buy their home studio situations, which is so inexpensive now. And if you're talented, you'll know. If you can't create it at home, today you're going to have some problems.
Got it.
So I would tell people today is to do all this on their own. Get your little home studio, the basics, and see if you can excite yourself. And even if you don't excite yourself, keep doing it. Because believe in yourself. Back when we did it in the late 80s, early 90s, the equipment was so expensive. The industry was almost unseen. You had to know someone to get music to them to get somebody else.
You had to know somebody.
Oh, absolutely. Today, with social media the way it is, you're a fingertip away from getting it to somewhere, somehow, that someone can see it and make a connection for you.
So it's kind of like Soulja Boy on MySpace.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. You have to take advantage of the social media. It's there for you.
Right.
And believe me, if you think you have the talent and you put your stuff up there, they're going to let you know if you have
the world will tell you if you got talent or not.
Absolutely. And then keep going. Believe in yourself. That's the most important thing.
So play around, do the work, produce it, upload it.
Absolutely. And you know what, Steve? Even if you can't produce it, it could even be you standing in front of an iPhone or a camera, any old camera. If you have the talent, get it out there. If you don't have the technology, you don't have the equipment, it's okay. If you have, let everyone see it because you have the medium for everyone to see it.
Well, it's kind of crazy now. You see, like, even on TikTok, you see there's these 2 Indian girls that are just singing a cappella, and they go viral, right? And especially with COVID in the last year, there were so many different songs that became popular. Like, there are songs that I've never heard of, right? But they're in the background, they're trending on TikTok.
That's right.
Then you hear on the radio, it's like, oh, that's that.
That's right.
That was that song.
It's totally different. Even from 15 years ago, the industry is different because everyone has the capacity to reach the globe. Viral,
There are no more barriers.
Yeah, there really aren't. There's no excuses now.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we push a lot on Real Estate Disruptors, which is our other podcast, is that, there's the ability to go in and start your own business today is very different, right? You don't need a lot of money. You don't need, to know all these people. You just need to have hustle. And it sounds like in your opinion, if someone wanted to get into music right now, it might be hard because there's a lot of people doing it.
Right.
But if you've got it, there's nothing to stop you.
Steve, that's the key word. It's the hustle. Because there's a lot of artists out here who have become viral, not because they're necessarily more talented than the next person. It's because they push and they push and they push and they hustle, and that has made the difference.
There was another book, Outliers, by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talked about the Beatles. So I don't know if like the Beatles, before they became famous, what they were doing.
Sure.
But they were performing in pubs 8 hours a day, every single day.
Yes.
And, you have to riff and, whatever, impromptu, whatever it's called in music. I don't know. But they were doing it for summers, right? Before their first album.
They were going to Germany. They had to go to Germany for some of these shows. That's right.
And doing that, they had the reps. They were hustling. So then when they finally got an album, they've had way more time on the guitar, on the drums,
that's right,
than most other people.
That's
so
right.
I guess where I'm going with this is that right now, even if you don't have it today, if you believe in it, you were saying if you believe in yourself,
that's right,
keep pushing, keep putting it out there, and eventually it will go.
Absolutely, totally. Especially in today's day and age, you got to just believe in yourself.
So let's say someone was interested in getting into music. So then you say step one is having something go viral?
Yeah, no. Just, you got to create it first. So you got to get your product that represents you. As you said, it could be an acapella, or it could be some little beat that you put together. Have it that represents yourself. That's number one. How and where you get it to, that can come. That's next. But if you don't have anything to play or to show anyone, that you don't have anything.
Yeah, and you kind of see it with Lil Nas X.
I was just thinking about that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about that?
Well, I'm not. All I know is that he really just pushed and pushed and pushed. And I'm even more familiar with like Macklemore, where there's no record company. This guy put this stuff out himself, the hustle. But I know with Lil Nas X, I mean, you could tell me a little bit more about him, but how he was able to just keep pushing and pushing and got it. Was it on TikTok?
Well, it wasn't on TikTok, but he went viral with, or at least I don't think it was with TikTok, but he went viral with, the Old Town Road. That's not even his sample. That's right. Some sample he bought for like $8.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And
That's right.
And he just kept writing other lyrics, see what would trend. And he would play just little 8-second snippets, 15-second snippets on Twitter and whatever to see what was catching. And so he didn't write a whole song to see what went. He just wrote little samples to see which samples went viral and got shared. And then once he had that, then he made a song around it.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Let me tell you, these are the type of things that record labels, they're not even thinking of that.
Yeah.
It takes an individual to, again, have that hustle to say, you know what? And again, whoever created that sample that sold it for $8 got to be kicking themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep trying it and seeing what people like. Oh, they like that? I'm going to make a song around it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So any other suggestions for someone trying to get into the music industry?
Ooh, well, I mean, hey, if you could get in touch with Kollective Recordz, we're always looking.
Yeah.
Company that I started with Andre Hendricks and DJ Leo Blaze, and we're always looking for talent. I mean, you have other companies that are doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get to these type of people who can build you, if you have the natural talent, you still have companies, smaller, more independent companies, who can get you the maybe the vocal training, or get the song, or get the producers, or get the video going.
Mm-hmm.
You have those companies now that the big record companies don't have the time to do anymore.
Yeah. So you had a lot of success, and we talked a little bit about your struggles. What were some of your other big struggles in your journey?
Wow. Well, the thing that'll make you lose sleep is, again, when you're on top, and then all of a sudden the phone just doesn't ring anymore. I think we spoke about that before. Financially, I mean, it's going to take a hit also. You're making $35,000 a record. All of a sudden, you're happy to get $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
So financial, I've had a strong family. I have a strong family. So no matter where I am, my family's going to always have my back. But if you don't have good people behind you, good professional people, because when you're not on the top, those professional people will leave you real quick.
What have you done for me lately?
Absolutely. I got a big ups to, EMI, Sony Musical Publishing. They've been with me since 1989.
Mm-hmm.
They've always showed me love. It doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared for those people who were there when you were on top to not be there when you're not.
Yeah. And that's a sad reality. I don't think that's just music. That's every talent.
You know what? And I've been doing this over 30 years. I don't even blame people for that.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come and go. They want to ride on when they're, they want to ride with the wind at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to be prepared for that. And again, believe in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that self-confidence is huge.
Absolutely.
What are you excited about today?
Steve, 2 years ago, I was Andre Hendricks, a good friend of mine, I've known him for years, and he told me, look, we got to start developing our own stuff. We can't keep giving out records to these labels when they don't need the records anyway and they're not looking for them. Mm-hmm. We have to work for ourselves. And we were doing that. We were developing some things. He was out here in Phoenix. I'm in New York. And then we got the call. Andre called and said, my friend Leo, you don't know him yet. He found this artist. We got to work with this guy. Mm-hmm. So between the three of us, when I heard the artist, his name is Benjamin Reynolds, very talented young man, we said, we got to now go into business for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, Steve, it's been collective, working with these two guys. They're just amazing. They're hungry, hustlers. They're family men. They're good people. It just makes working with them every day just so much better.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is your passion? What is your why? What keeps you going?
This is going to sound corny. My kids, my family. I have 4 kids, and I work hard for them every day. My dad is 83 years old, and he's supported me through the ups and downs, even the beginning of leaving school. It's a man with a PhD, Mm-hmm. So being able to say, can I leave school to get into the music industry? He was looking at me like, are you crazy? He supported me from every day. So being able to take care of my kids and make sure my kids are happy is most important. Now at this stage of my career, being able to give back. There's a lot of talented people out there that if they had available what we have now, it's like you just want to make sure that they can not be taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. So giving back to the youth, just walking them through this industry, not trying to take advantage of anybody, teaching them along the way.
How to navigate.
Oh, it's just, I enjoy it. I enjoy that.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. What is your superpower?
Wow. Do I have one? The gift of and I'm going to be honest with this, Steve. When I create music, I'm doing it for me first. It's selfish. I don't create for this, that. When I sit down in my studio and I'm just like, I just need a getaway. You know, if I can't jump in the car and fly somewhere just to get just creating in the studio. That's my superpower.
Yeah.
When things don't sound good, I'm in a bad mood. Things sound good, I'm like, oh, I'm on top of the world. And it's just me creating at home. That's what keeps me going.
That's awesome. I think you see that in sports, right? You see that in business. Like you think that they're doing it for, this other stuff. It's for them.
That's right.
Everyone gets the benefit, but it's for them. Right. What is the greatest lesson you've learned?
Easily treating people good along the way. I shouldn't say this, but I've been respected over the 30 plus years in this industry. I didn't make enemies. I didn't try to make people mad. Just treat people nicely. Music industry is a dog-eat-dog industry, but you could still be a nice person. Avoid those people who you're not going to connect with if you can. But you have to keep sane. You owe that to yourself. You owe that to your family. And I think I've done that well over the years.
Yeah. And it's tough. This is something that I've preached privately to peers, is you got to keep your jersey clean. And what I mean by that is, this guy is not someone that you want your name tied to, don't spend time with that guy, because it's only a matter of time that guy falls from grace. Something's going to be reviewed. Something's going to be exposed. And now they're like, well,
that's right, Steve.
You're associated with that guy. Guilt by association.
That's right. And let me tell you what else happens, especially in the music industry and entertainment. You may see that person down the line. You may have a problem with someone and it gets out of hand. You say something wrong. 10 years later, he's on top, she's on top, and you need some work from them. That happens a lot. Therefore, don't burn your bridges.
Yeah.
And if I could tell everyone anything, that's the one thing. Just handle people nicely, go home and be upset, but you don't want to burn your bridges in an industry, in the entertainment industry or any industry.
Yeah.
If you can.
What is your favorite, best, or most interesting failure?
Wow. I don't want to throw a story out there that no one would know about.
Doesn't hurt.
Okay, sure. At when things were really going well for me in the early 90s, I put together a group. I was told from Andre Harrell and Uptown Management Records to put together a group. You got to just keep working. You're hot, keep it going. And I put together a group and 3 other lovely people that like family. And we had all these records. The whole industry was talking about us. And I had a problem with the label. And as I just said, don't burn your bridges.
Well, there's a reason why you know that.
That's blah, and I made such a, blah, blah. I'm raising heck in there. And the label said, well, then we're not going to let it come out. 3 years of work. And I'm like, okay, I'll just do another one. I would go to other record companies and say, what's going on with your group, Key West? I said, oh, I'm not going to do it. They said, well, give me the records. I'll put them on my artists. And to waste 3 years like that. And then the industry start to shut down on you. You needed that album to come out. You just blew it, And from that, I learned not to burn your bridges, number one. And that's when I really started to have to grind and hustle. Because now the industry's not calling, the phone's not ringing like it used to.
You're not the hot chick.
There you go. So that failure helped set me up for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Because now I have this in me and I surround myself with the, DJ Leo Blaze and the Andre Hendrixes who hustle. And if you don't hustle, if I'm late here, Oh, I'm going to hear from Leo. And I'm going to hear from Andre. Those are the guys that I put myself around for the last 20 years to help me keep going.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point. So we really emphasize that lesson you learned. Now we know why.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
I have another one.
Oh, please.
I have another one. Very generic. In college, I missed a flight home. I went to school in Louisiana. Missed a flight home. I'm 19 years old. The guy said, yeah, just give me a new ticket. So the guy said, the guy at the desk said, no, you got to pay more money. So I said, all right, let me go to the payphone and call my parents. My father's yelling, why couldn't you get to the plane on time? So I walked back to the guy. He said, yeah, why should your father have to pay for this? Why can't you get to the plane on time? Never missed a plane again. That was over 30 years ago. And I make it a point to be on time.
Yeah.
So,
a good lesson.
Yes.
Is there a book that you've gifted more?
Not a big reader. I've read a few books on the Beatles. And to see such a meteoric climb in the industry was amazing. And it was very candid, you know, having all the Beatles talk about the important things, the important people. They commented on how, you know, their manager, Brian Epstein, because all the success came from him. The minute he passed away, Beatles were making still great records, but our business was shot. We didn't know all we knew how to do was make records. The producer, George Martin, you know, Sir George Martin, the mind of this man, you know, we have keyboards to make all these sounds. This man had to really get into these four boys' heads and create what they want to hear. So my Beatles records, I'm a big history buff, so read a lot about presidents, but I think those Beatles books were just incredible for me.
Is there anyone specifically?
Oh, well, I can tell you what it looks like, but I don't remember the title. No.
Got it. And you said the important things they mentioned. What were the important things?
Ooh. Number one, as you said, don't give up. Some of those nights in Hamburg, Germany, you know, they just, people booing the other people they felt bad for the other artists. Never gave up.
Yeah, I mean, there was a pub. It was not a nice gig.
Violent and everything. They had to sleep there. I mean, it was rough.
Yeah.
Interesting story. They had a member of the group, Stuart Sutcliffe, who didn't believe in the group. Or was it Pete Best? I'm not sure.
The drummer?
I think it was the bass. No, it was the. Someone could help me out here. I was probably Stuart Sutcliffe. He didn't believe in the group. He left the group and he ran off with the stylist girl. Astrid was her name. And all of a sudden, someone else comes in, Brian Epstein, and makes them one of the biggest musical entities of all time. Stuart Sutcliffe didn't believe in the group. And I hope I'm getting the right name. I'm sorry if I'm not. But that's what I got away from. You got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm going to let you think about what you want to leave the listeners with. Hey, guys, if you guys got value today, please like, subscribe, share, comment. It helps us a lot. So if someone... Oh, last thoughts.
Oh, last thoughts. First of all, thank you for having me here, Steve.
My pleasure.
And for those listening, even if it's not in the music entity, just believe in yourself. Just, you know, just whatever it is you want to do in life, just continue to do it. Don't give up. Don't let anyone tell you to give up. And life will be much happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to get a hold of you or collaborate with you in some fashion or another, how would they go about it?
Go through Kollective LLC at gmail.com. And that's for the company. And right there, just reach right out for me right there. I'm not on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Kyle West. But the email, perfect.
Not on Instagram.
I'm not on Instagram. Did you believe that?
Come on.
I'm on it today. Watch.
All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for watching.
All right.